helicopter. It's dash. Dash, the acronym stands for drone anti-submarine helicopter. In the 50s, it would be aboard the smaller ships that were tasked with anti-submarine warfare. The way it worked, the ship would pinpoint the location of the submarine, launch the helicopter with the offensive weapons on it, booming torpedoes or dip bombs. The reason? The helicopter would get there faster than the ship would get there. However, technology wasn't really up to snuff in those days, and Dash would be observed many times disappearing over the horizon, never to be seen again. Now we use rockets for that, and our technology is really up to snuff. Now we use drones, target drones. In the old days, anti-aircraft gunners got practice shooting at a sleeve or a banner being towed by another airplane. Not realistic. An attacking airplane is not going to be flying straight low. It's going to be maneuvering. Given realistic practice, they'd launch a drone in the vicinity of the anti-aircraft battery, and the controller would be there. They'd launch a drone from the air, from the ground, and he'd be maneuvering this thing. Now the gunners have a realistic problem to solve. In an attacking airplane that's being maneuvered. Not many shot down.
Well, this is a fake one?
That's the target drone. It's one they shot at.
That's a target, and it was maneuverable.
Radio control.
Oh, okay. And they shot it down, they're gone.
Yeah, but many of them, most of them were not shot down. Oh. When it ran out of fuel, a parachute would open up, it'd land, they'd refuel it, launch it again.
Oh, so this is the giant model airplane. Giant model.
This Learjet belonged to Mr. Timken. You know Mr. Timken is?
No idea.
Big man in the bearings industry. Roller bearings, ball bearings. What's unusual about a high executive having his own private jet transportation? Nothing. The unusual feature here was the primary pilot was Mrs. Timken. So he wanted to go off on the boondoggle. She didn't have to ask to go along. He had to ask her to take him. Then after Mr. Timken passed him his reward, Mrs. Timken donated the airplane to the museum. 80-some-year-old grandmother flies it in here from Chicago.
Are you serious?
Still, serious. Still a competent pilot. A year or so ago, I had her mechanic was on walking tour. And he regaled us with tales about her. She was quite a piece of work.
Wow.
From the overhead blue and white aircraft, there's
Copter failed? Never really flew?
in military tactics, if a unit is pinned down by a machine gun, they will try to get around and deliver enfilading fire on the machine gun that's holding them down. Some brilliant mind in Washington said it takes a long time to crawl around to get there. We'll give each soldier one of these things, and he can flit over there real fast. Except he didn't think that when this guy gets in the air, it's like shooting clay pigeons. Yeah. So it didn't pan out. Easy target.
But did it fly?
It did, yeah.
Wow.
Experimentally. That drive on your way out, you might want to stop at the Aviation Hall of Fame and check out all of these people who prominent.
Woo! Big seaplane. Huge.
This is a PBM, Martin Mariner. Follow on to the old PBY Catalina flying boat. Most of them were true flying boats. They would land and take off from water. And when they came into port, they either anchored or tied up to a buoy. This is a variation. It's called an amphibian. And it could operate off land and water. That's because the wheels were built into the airplane. The other flying boats, if you go to the building on some guy that you not this one. This one will land on runways or water. And this probably the only one left of these amphibious types.
Oh, the wheels could go up in there. Oh, wow, cool. Huge wheel.
Pan Am Clippers. Land-based airplanes between the wars did not have the range for transoceanic flight. And this is when the Clipper came in, flying from San Francisco to Hawaii to Hong Kong and Japan. Luxurious. Had dining rooms, wine, crystal chandeliers, the whole 9 yards. Very luxurious. Because the land-based airplanes couldn't hack it. But during the war, because of the research done on the big bombers and lengthening the runways, more powerful engines, land-based airplanes took over the transoceanic business. Clipper airplanes disappeared. Overnight almost. Model of a PBY Catalina. Very active in World War II, various missions, anti-submarine, anti-ship, but they're most famous for rescue operations, pulling people out of the water, especially our down there in the went in the water, and they got the nickname the Dumbo. Dumbo made a lot of spectacular rescues in some restricted areas. The story I have from a resident Marine during the battle for Guadalcanal. A Marine aviator was shot down, bailed out, landed in the water in a cove. The beach in the cove was completely saturated with Japanese soldiers. So he was under constant small arms fire. Dumbo lands outside of the cove, taxis in, and the plan was, because of the intense fire, they would just go by and throw him a line and pull him out of range, out of small arms range. However, he was badly injured and couldn't hold on. So the pilot just turns around, goes right back into that intensive gunfire, and the co-pilot, who was a gymnast in college. The reason I bring that up is because he had great upper body strength. He tied the rope around him, jumped over the side, grabbed the Marine, and he told him those out. And then put him in the boat. So they did some pretty spectacular stuff.
Awesome.
All the propellants and all the weapons we had was smokeless powder, which is nitrocellulose. Except the large ships, like cruisers, battleships, carriers, they always had to have a black powder magazine. The reason for that was the black powder was used in the catapult to launch the airplane. They couldn't use smokeless powder in there because it's too powerful. It would break the catapult. Smokeless powder had a slower burning rate, and black powder had a slower burning rate. They could put it in there. So it's an unusual thing.
Where's the catapult?
The catapult is right there. He's sitting on the catapult. It's got Japanese markings on it. That's a U.S.
So
battle.
how many of those actually worked? I mean, they used those, but were they proficient? Really?
They trained the catapult up, launch him, and he'd go up ahead, spot the forward shot. Even one story that I read about, he was up ahead, and the B-29 crew coming back from Japan had gone into the water. So the whole crew was with lifeboats and life vests in the water, and this shark-infested water. This guy sees him up there, and he lands and picks up this whole B-29 crew.
Wow.
So they're on the floats, they're on the wings, and he can't take off. So he air taxis, or taxis on the water back to the ship.
Wow.
But all of these people hanging on the airplane.
How many?
The B-29 crew, usually 12.
Wow. He saved 12 people. Took a long time to taxi back though.
Oh yeah. And it's pretty wet for those people, but I guess they were grateful to get out of that situation.